Hi everybody, I'm Neppy and I love to invest. So I've been investing for 10 years now, and during those 10 years my investing philosophy has changed. So it's gone from a more of a fundamental focused and ignoring the technical side, and I've brought in, over those 10 years, I've brought in much more of a technical focus. I still invest for the long term, but I also use sentiment to find or timings. So the timing of entry points is much more important to me these days than it used to be, and I've had a lot of success with doing that. So today's video, I'm going to go through 10 stocks that I've been following very closely. Some of these stocks I own, some of these companies I don't own. I've just got an interest in. For example, Brainchip. It's one of the companies I'll be looking at today. And some of the other companies I am thinking of owning. In fact, one of those companies I did enter today. So these are the 10 companies I'll be going through today, ranging in from the market darlings to the sort of the hype zoom stocks, the rocket stocks we'll call it, like Brainchip. We go through market darlings from like Jumbo, which used to be a market darling, and then it had a rapid sell-off, and then perhaps the trend has changed. Buy now, pay later, we've got two of those, Flexi Group and Zip, and Novonix and Brainchip. I've already mentioned the Brainchip, but those are actually they're in two areas where I believe long-term is very interesting. So I'm very interested in those two companies simply because where they are, what they're doing. So the first company I want to talk about is Whispir. This is a company I've been wanting to own for a while, and they went through a very rapid price increase from around about start of July into start of August. So about a month, they went from price about 225 to almost 525. So a double in price in a month. I don't chase increases like that. So what I do is usually wait for a pullback, which usually always happens. And I finally found that 2 days ago or yesterday on Thursday, the 10th of September, when news came out there was a large escrow seller, and I believe that was Telstra who sold out, and the Telstra sold out about 381, if I remember correctly. So that seemed to give the share price a bit of impetus to come down. And today it continued coming down. In fact, share price has gone down 25% in about 2 days at one point, but there was a good rebound in the price today, a very bullish rebound. In fact, the last candlestick day here, which was today, 11th September, that's a hammer, which is a bullish reversal signal. It sort of hit a bit of support around this level here and then bounced off it very quickly. In fact, it bounced off about 316. Next chart is the 5-minute chart. You can see that coming down, bit of negative sentiment, very slight negative sentiment on Wednesday. Once news of the large escrow seller, we've just seen that negative sentiment continue all the way up until 2 p.m. on Friday, when you can just see here there was a large buyer coming in around about $3.16 to $3.20, and that just changes sentiment very quickly. I bought in at this point the large volume, and the 1-minute chart, which is what I use to buy back in, was a definite change in sentiment right here. So I bought in at about I think it was about 320, 321. Very good buy-in price or something. So that's Whispir. They have market cap about 380 with annual recurring revenue of about 40. So you can't really say it's cheap. It's not either expensive either. So sort of just waiting to see what happens in the next few days. So I bought a small parcel, and I might add to that if it remains in a bullish uptrend. The next company is 5GN. I used to be a holder of this company a few years ago, so I bought in about 50 cents. Then I sold in out over a year ago, about $1.50. I've been wanting to buy back in, but I haven't had the chance. Probably could have bought in at 90 cents here, circling there, and about $1.20 here. Those would have been good times to buy in, especially with the right here. We just see the large increase in volume, so that's very bullish. The last few days, it got to $2.40, and then a few days ago, they announced an acquisition of the old Melbourne IT, I think it's called Web Central now. They sold off a lot of their divisions, rebranded their name as Web Central. Share price went from like $3 all the way down to 10 cents. They've been in trouble. 5GN have announced acquisition of that company. I don't think the market has liked it necessarily. So I haven't gone into specifics of the acquisition, but it could be the price. It could be the value they gave Web Central. But in saying all that, it's come down to a price that I'm interested in re-entering. The old top back in June of 2019, it's reached that. And this is a bit of support here. As you can just see here, it raced through this. It was resistance in the past, then it became support. Raced through that on large volume. It retested it, and then once it retested it successfully, it just zoomed up to $2.40 in quick time. So it's come back resisting that, or testing that resistance line or support line. If it goes through that, that's bearish, but if it starts bouncing off it, that's bullish, and that will be a signal to buy. So 5GN is something I'll be following next week closely, and I think depending on what it does, I might buy in. Base Resources is a company I own. The main reason I bought this company was just because of their dividend and a breakout on this bar here. Not much interest in this country. I won't say it's unloved, but not much interest. And I love those companies where there's not much interest. I go to Hot Copper sometimes and I look at the interest or the amount of people who are writing about it. There's very low interest in a company. That's actually a good sign. And what the other good sign is what happened with the share price on this after this big update. It kept going up. It's almost reached its previous high at around 32, 33 cents. If it goes through that, that's pretty good. The dividend they did announce on this big update was 3.5 cents. So that's pretty good dividend yield at current prices of 30.5 cents. So I can't see any problem with this company going forward. They are wanting to, they need money or funding for a project in Madagascar where they're thinking they can go into production. So the fact that they did issue a dividend, I think they must be fairly confident they're going to get that funding. They'll probably get that funding through a JV or something. So I'm comfortable handling this, but I'm just following this closely because the dividend, they go ex-dividend, I think in about a week's time, the 18th or something. Share price should come back. I'd just like to see what happens with the share price after it goes ex-dividend because it's a large dividend, in fact. The next company is Jumbo. So this is, I believe this is a lottery company. It was a previous market darling a few years ago up until about a year ago where share price just went from $1 or $2 all the way up to 27. Sentiment changed quite quickly. Sentiment changed quite quickly about a year ago and it went from 27 all the way down to $7 at the low point in the coronavirus, and it looks like it might be breaking out. So everything is looking good for another breakout in Jumbo, but it has to go through quite a few levels of resistance. So it's just broken through one level of resistance here, this red line here, and there's a few other lines of resistance. And resistance just means there's quite a few people who have held on or bought in at that price and will probably want to sell out just because it comes back to that price they bought in and they go, oh, it's come back to that price. I want to sell out now because they don't want to lose money. I see this all the time. I've got friends who say this all the time. Oh, I bought into this company and as soon as it goes back to my buying price, I'm going to sell out. They don't realize that if it comes back to their price, it's probably in an uptrend. So all these people buying in, say here, 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 don't realize if the price comes back to their buying price, it's going through an uptrend and they're probably better off just to hold because more than likely it's going to go up. So this is an interesting company. In fact, this share price today went up 6% when the overall market went down about 1%. So very bullish today. So this is something I might buy next week. Put it into my super, I think. Zunu is a big regret of mine. So about a year ago, they put out their Appendix 4C right here, where I'm pointing, about 10 cents or so. it was cash flow positive, and I thought to myself, I'll buy in at 10 cents or around that price. Share price did go up, and I thought if the share price comes back a bit, I'll just buy in. Then the share price did not come back, and I did not buy in. So sometimes being patient can be not a good thing. I am patient. Sometimes just buy in. It doesn't matter the price. I think Warren Buffett was famous for not buying Walmart because of a few cents difference, and he lost a lot of money because of that. So this is my Walmart. I could have bought in 10 cents, and I would have held all the way to somewhere here. So sentiment has changed a little bit in Zunu. They are, because of COVID-19, their business has really picked up. But it's just today had a big update, 17.7% on lowish volume, not the highest volume, but it's just reached a resistance point. So this line here was resistance, then it became support here on high volume, and it tested this line once, twice, 3, 4 times, and on the 5th time it broke down under it, and now it's gone back to test it again. So these resistance support lines, they do work. So what it does now, it might, because it's testing it now, I think the market's saying if you go through, that's going to be bullish. If it comes back off that resistance, it's bearish. So following this very closely over the next week. It is a company I like. They've increased, the amount of revenue they've increased in the past year has been phenomenal. But whether that's going to continue, it's anyone guess. I might actually do a video on this company because they are interesting. Another company is Orbital. I have been in and out of this company for a long time. I bought here on a breakout, big volume breakout, and then I sold because of COVID. So I didn't make much, and then I bought back in about, forget it, it was about here. And I've just held on since then. You can say volume hasn't really increased, so this company does have a good outlook. This is another company I'll do a video on because they are promising what they do. But the last, the last few weeks, actually the last month or so, share price has gone from $1.60 to about $1 today. This sort of decrease in price is healthy. I won't say it's absolutely good, but it is healthy because there was a rapid increase in price from 80 cents all the way to $1.60. So it doubled in price fairly quick time. It's pulled back to $1. So $1 in itself acts as resistance and support. And you can just see why it got to $1 here and pulled back straight away. And then it pushed through $1 on very high volume on a very big update, tested it, and it successfully tested it because it bounced off it and moved to $1.60, bounced off it again today. I think the low today was about 99 cents. It's bounced off it fairly bullish. So it's looking like a good support line, that line. So I'm following this just because it's interesting what it's doing at the moment. Some days or some weeks with companies I own, I won't look at it for weeks at a time just because it's not doing anything exciting. But this is a company that's doing things exciting, both in what it's doing in its company, and its chart's actually quite exciting too. Flexi Group. Now, Flexi Group is an interesting one. So they won't be called Flexi Group for much longer. They will change the name to Humm, which has been a long time coming. I did see a comment today. Someone said they're too late to the party, but someone could argue they were the first to the party. So Flexi Group actually do have a buy now, pay later, which they've had for quite a while. Been for ages, actually. So lay-by has been around for ages. So Afterpay is not the first to the party. But Flexi Group, I use Flexi Group as a gauge to see whether the buy now, pay later sector is either a hype, or if it's been backed by hype, or it's backed by some sort of true change the way we do stuff, if that makes sense. So is what's happening with Zip, Afterpay, Sezzle, what's the other one? Split It. Is that based off hype, or is it based off the fact that it's going to change the way we do things. And Flexi Group is my gauge, it's my base. And if Flexi Group, we can see here the chart, it's really not doing anything. It's no big increase in price or anything, nothing. So this is suggesting to me that the buy now, pay later, there's no, it's all hype at the moment because Flexi Group actually is profitable. Their Humm is actually one of the biggest buy now, pay later. It's Afterpay, but it's sort of level with ZipPay. But it's 5 times less the value than ZipPay. So if I say Flexi Group start to, once they change the name, I think that's the first thing they have to do because a lot of people don't know Flexi Group is Humm. Once they change the name to Humm and their code is going to be HUM, if the price starts to increase, well, I was going to say that's a good sign that there's some sort of fundamental truth to buy now, pay later, or it could be just people go, oh, it's Humm, I'm going to buy in it because it's Humm. I know Humm. So that's Flexi Group. I am interested in it, but there's no reason to buy right now because sentiment is quite negative. This up day or down day here, that was the day they did a capital raising. They announced they're changing name to Humm. They opened up at about $1.40 and just selling all through the day here. And the selling was just these people who'd bought in here going, oh, I can sell out now for, and not have a loss, and that's all it was. And since then, price has gone down. It's gone through a level of support here, so not looking good for Flexi Group or even buy now, pay later. In fact, the next company is Novonix. I'm really interested in what they do. So I do believe autonomous cars, self-driving cars, lithium cars, so electric cars, it is the future. In my opinion, I don't think Australians understand how much their lives are going to change in the next 10 to 15 years. In fact, I mention quite often that the car I have now is going to be probably my last car I ever own. I believe at some point in the future, I'm not sure how far in the future, no one will own cars. It'll be all self-driving sort of taxis, robo-taxis, if you will. If you need a car, you'll just order it on an app. It'll come and pick you up at the time you specify. It'll take you to work and then drop you off at work. And then it'll go do other stuff for other people. COVID-19 has put a little bit of a spanner in that works because I think we'll have to get through the possibility of diseases spreading. So it's sort of put it on hold, but I think working from home, which will become more common, and I think in 10 to 15 years, working from home will be the norm. I think self-driving cars will be part of that too. So I don't think many people understand how much their lives are going to change. COVID-19 will increase some of that change, but some of that change is just going to be driven by companies like Novonix. So this is their chart. A really good buying price on really high volume would have been sort of around 70 cents, so between 50 and 70 cents. Probably these would have been a really good time to buy. Even here would have been a good time to buy, coming back to test these levels. Nothing to argue with I wouldn't call these exponential. It's not like Brainchip at the moment. It's backed by, this is a very exciting company. I'm not a holder at this, so I'm waiting for a good time to buy. Some would say just buy in at any price. They are valued at quite high valuations, so I could regret not buying in at any point, but I'll definitely do a video on this company. But so very exciting at this stage, and I'm just following this to find a good buying price. That's probably it. I've missed it so far. Good luck to holders. Yeah, good on you. Brainchip is the other one. So Brainchip, I believe, is the only AI company on the ASX, or AI focused company on the ASX. What they're doing is also extremely exciting. The fact that they've NASA has buying their AI stuff, their brain chips, or chips, whatever you call it. Have valued at $1.2 billion on $80,000 in revenue. That revenue is going to increase. There's no doubt about it. My only problem with this is the exponential increase in price over the past month. It's gone ridiculous. Went to almost $1. I think you can just see this amount of shares traded a few days ago was it was over 300 million if you include Chinex, whatever you call it. There's, I think, 1.2 billion shares on issue. So I think day traders have got a hold of this stock, and I really don't like companies where day traders are using it as a plaything. Day traders love volatility, and Brainchip share price is very volatile. Intraday volatility is amazing. Day traders are on this like a, oh, they're probably loving this stock. So once it becomes out of favor with day traders, I think that'll be the time to buy in. I don't know when that will be. We've seen one down day now. It's really got to, I think, come back a bit, a fair bit now for me to buy in. I've seen some ridiculous statements on social media. One person said this is going to $10 within a year. So $10 would be a $15 billion market cap. There's no way it's doing that unless it starts raking in the money very quickly. So this might be more of a patience wait for a good time to buy in, but just insanity, the share price increases over the last month or so with Brainchip. I've been actually following this company for many years, and I just haven't bought in. So sometimes being patient is not the best thing. One thing I will start to do now is a company like Brainchip, what I'll do is buy in a small parcel. Even if it doesn't do anything with price over a few years, once it breaks out, I'll buy something else. So I think once you hold a little parcel, you tend to focus more on the company, focus more on what they're doing. There's been a few months here and there where I've just lacked focus on Brainchip, and that cost me, I think, in the long run. So this is their 5-minute chart. This just shows you how much volatility there was a few days ago. Like really large volume day. It went from around 72 cents all the way up to 95, and then went to a low of about 63 cents. And then the next day it opened up towards 90 cents. Traders are loving that action. That's day traders love volatility. That's how they make the money. But the last day or so, a little bit of negative sentiment, short-term negative sentiment coming into the share price. Did level off, so not a lot of volatility today. So maybe that's sort of a sign. Hopefully, that's a sign day traders will leave the picture. They'll find another plaything. Zip. So Zip, I'll always follow Zip now because it is the first company I did a J trade on, which I'll get to the next chart. So Zip it has gone from a price of $10 a few weeks ago. I think this is the day they announced a deal with, was it eBay? So a lot of excitement. It went through, there was a bit of support here, or resistance here, went through that like a rocket. Came back, tested it on this day, end of this day, and fell straight through it the next day. So it's coming down to about 5.99. So this area had a lot of people bought in around between the prices of 5.50 and 6.50. So a lot of people are bought in around this. If it keeps going down, this area here will act as resistance in the future because a lot of people bought in at this point. And so if it comes back down and fills this gap, say it fills this gap to 375 or so, this area will act as resistance. I am following this company closely, and the main reason is on the 2nd of September, I did a day trade, a 2-hour day trade. I was just wanted to see if I could just day trade using changes in sentiment on a very short term. So right here, sentiment was a bit negative. It came up to about $6.80 one day on this Wednesday, and then it tested this $6.80. There was a bit of resistance initially, then it became support when it went through it. It tested it at this point here, and then it rebounded off fairly quickly. I bought in right here. This was a change in sentiment, and then it went through that fairly quickly, tested the moving averages here, which is a good test, and kept going higher. It reached this sort of a head and shoulders here. So this is a shoulder, head, shoulder, and then it came back. I sold here because there was a bit of a change in sentiment. So I sold $7.20. So bought 680, sold at $7.20, 2 hours, made 40 cents per share. So very happy with that trade. It did show me that day trading actually can work if you know what you're doing, just based off short-term, very short-term sentiment. So that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I am learning still. But if you do need professional advice, make sure you speak to a professional. And that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. And until next time, have a good day. See ya.